Welcome back. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Well, the lunch break is over. Former US President Donald Trump is back in a New York courtroom. It comes after a morning of sparring with the judge in the $250 million civil fraud trial that could ultimately cost him his business. Tense exchanges between Trump and the judge marked the first part of his testimony. At one point, the judge ordered one of Trump's attorneys to control his witness. During a break in the trial, a reporter asked the former president how the proceedings were going, and he made the motion that he was zipping his lips. Here's what he did say before entering the courtroom.
It's very unfair, but in the meantime, the people of the country understand it, they see it, and they don't like it. They don't like it because it's political warfare, as you would call it, or political lawfare. Another name, they got a lot of names for it, but usually it takes place in third world countries and banana republics. Nobody's ever seen that to this extent. We've never seen it here.
Larry Sabato is the director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia and joins us from Charlottesville. Good to see you.
Thank you, Lynda. Great to see you.
We've seen Donald Trump take to the stand today. Just back from lunch break, he's back testifying right now in this $250 million fraud trial against his business. And it was, as expected, the Trump show. He came out attacking the judge, saying, "It's a terrible thing you've done." What's at stake for Donald Trump?
This is a campaign stop, Lynda. That's really what it is. He already knows that he's going to lose that case. We don't know to what degree, but there's no way that that judge is going to rule in his favor. So he's using it, as he has used all of these instances over the years, and particularly since he left office, as campaign fodder for his supporters. They love this because their view of Trump is, as rich as he is, he's downtrodden. He's one of us. The establishment is trying to destroy him, and we're going to rally around him and get him elected president again. Now, that's not to say they'll succeed, but it is to say that at least for the Republican nomination, it's working like a charm.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be, especially amongst his base. But ultimately, this case in particular could cost him both personally and politically down the track.
Oh, it absolutely could. It's certainly going to cost him personally. He may try and pass some of that along to his kids. And after all, he's in his upper 70s, so I suppose that's a factor for him too. But his goal is very clear, and it's been his goal for a long time. Get back in the Oval Office. And so he can't take care of civil cases, but he can certainly relieve himself of the burden of some of those cases involving felonies at the federal level. That's his goal. Everything is revolving around it.
And it is quite remarkable, Larry, that no matter how many lawsuits Donald Trump is facing, this fraud trial, the election interference case, et cetera, his support is increasing. The latest opinion polls released by the New York Times show that he is up in all the swing states. His states that Joe Biden won in 2020, if an election were to be held today, Donald Trump would take these states. What should we read into those polls?
Well, it's a year from Election Day, and Joe Biden is very, very lucky it's a year from Election Day, because if the election were held now, before we see the results from any of the trials and go over other material that people may have forgotten about Trump, I have little doubt that Trump would win. Remember, Trump can win even if it's tied, and he's ahead in these 5 out of 6 swing states, key swing states that Biden carried before because of the electoral college that we have. So things have got to change pretty dramatically between now and next November if Biden is to be reelected. The good news for Biden is he's got a year to do it, and his whole team knows they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they really do, because, Larry, it's not just those key swing states. We saw that Biden is losing support in every demographic, just about every demographic. Tell us what would be happening inside the Biden camp right now. How would they be looking to pivot?
Well, they're telling all their people, and I think they mean it, don't panic, which is the most important thing for a campaign. And stick to the game plan, because the game plan they've got, at least on paper, does work. After all, and Lynda, you know this from watching so much of this unfold, there are 91 felony counts lodged against Donald Trump. What are the odds he's going to beat all of them? Now, it's certainly true that some of those trials won't happen before the election, but at least one or two might. And even a felony count or two, and he's found guilty of those, it will change opinions. Accusations, which is what an indictment is not the same as a conviction in which there is going to be a jail sentence in all likelihood. That will affect 2, 3, 4% of the public, and you say, my God, you mean 95%, 96% won't care? Unfortunately, that's true. But if we have a margin of 2, 3, 4% that switches sides, that's the election. That's the election. That's what Biden is counting on.
Yeah. All right, Larry Sabato, we will be following this case closely, as well as all the other cases in the next few months. Good to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynda.
There's still to come tonight an increasingly volatile situation at Israel's northern border with Lebanon. New unrest deepens fears of a potentially wider conflict. Plus, deported Gazan workers speaking out against the Israeli military, accusing IDF troops of physical and psychological abuse. More on those claims next.